I'm horror author Paul Edwards. Tonight I'm reading Famous Monsters of Filmland, issue number 54 from 1969. I thought some of you might enjoy flipping through this vintage monster magazine with me. Together, let's see what kinds of monster kid goodness is in here. Famous Monsters of Filmland, issue 54 from 1969, opens with my favorite Paul Blaisdell monster creation. The aliens from Invasion of the Saucermen with their oversized craniums. These monsters are freaky. I know the movie is a comedy horror, but the aliens are pretty good. In this issue, we're going to get, preview of the latest horror movies. Fantastic Beasts, Rage, and Roar in the Prehistoric Story. Oh my gosh. Invasion of the Vampires, that's a Mexican horror movie. Dracula 2000. Not the Dracula 2000 that you're probably thinking of, though. So let's take a look. Oh, and Christopher Lee. Monster Christmas Party. Wow. All right. Oh, we're going to get the 1931 version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's good. Lon Chaney talks to you. All right, can't wait to see what that is. Film Monster News. Whoa. That's from one of the Quatermass movies. I know that. Is that from 5 Million Years to Earth? I think it is. There are a lot of good backstage pictures, candid pictures of the horror actors that are circulating out there. One of my favorites is this. Lon Chaney Jr. taking a nap with his dog who he had brought to the set. Oh, they're talking about the Dunwich Horror movie coming up. The Fear Chamber with Boris Karloff. Oh, well, this is not coming up. This had already happened a couple years ago, but this is from Lost in Space, from the early episodes of Lost in Space. That's the Cyclops monster that they encountered, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 episodes into the series, before the series started to get real silly, which I liked it when it was real silly too. But the first few episodes was a lot more serious, and the Cyclops was kind of intimidating for kids. This is John Carradine playing Dracula, but not in one of the movies where he played Dracula, but on stage. Yeah, see, some of these movies they list as coming up either never happened or it's got released under a different name, so you wouldn't recognize it. See, some of these did happen, like Ice Station Zebra happened, okay. But some of these, like the Andromeda Nebula, huh? What? Ibira Horror of the Deep happened. That was a Godzilla movie. Don't Joke with Martians. I've never heard of that one. All right. Christopher Lee, of course, was a reigning horror star at the time this came out in 1969. He had been in a couple of Dracula films. He had been in Frankenstein. He had played the Mummy, and he was one of the 2 biggest guns that Hammer Studios had. Him and Peter Cushing. When I was a kid and I saw the Christopher Lee version of The Mummy, This absolutely terrified me. When the poor old guy was in the sanitarium and the mummy found him and tore out the grate and crawled in the window to kill him. Meanwhile, we have a whole interview going with Christopher Lee. Did you use a stand-in during the fight scene you had with Peter Cushing at the climax of Horror of Dracula? I did not use a stand-in during the fight sequence. I have hardly ever used a stand-in, and never during a fight. Peter Cushing had a stand-in for the run along the table and the jump onto the curtains. Oh, I never knew that. The 8 Man. All right. So, in 1920, there had been a film version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, starring John Barrymore. Grandfather of Drew Barrymore. Yes, really, look it up. In 1931, this version came out, starring Frederick March as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was great. 10 years later, though, Hollywood decided they wanted to surpass the 1931 version with a Spencer Tracy version in 1941. And they effectively tried to suppress the existence of the 1931 Frederick March one and make people forget that it ever existed, which is a shame because it's really good. The Spencer Tracy one is good too, but the Frederick March one is quite good. The way that they would do his transformation. Remember, this is in the days before computer effects. One of the tricks they used in transforming from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde was that they put paint of a certain color on his face and shined light of that color onto him so that the paint wouldn't show. And then slowly they would change the color of the lighting on his face, which would mean that the paint would stand out more and more. So it looked like a transformation was happening on his face. Clever. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to put the screens up. It's Mr. Hyde season. They're going to get into the house. Whoa. So this is from a mostly forgotten film, Son of Jekyll. There was a Son of Jekyll movie, and like 5 years later, there was a Daughter of Dr. Jekyll movie with Gloria Talbot. The Many Faces of Jekyll and Hyde. Look at them all. Now here's a good question. Which have there been more movie versions of? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde or Dracula? Laurel and Hardy even did one. Dr. Pickle and Mr. Pride. That's hilarious. Hilarious. When he turns into Mr. Hyde and he goes out to commit his reign of terror on metropolitan London, his reign of terror is pulling pranks on people, like sneaking up behind them and blowing up a paper bag and popping it, that sort of thing, giving people a hot foot. It's really funny. If you've never seen Dr. Pickle and Mr. Pride, it's worth seeing that Laurel and Hardy takeoff. It's a satire of the John Barrymore 1920 version. Fantastic Frankensteins from France. These are mock-ups. This is not actors in costumes. These are detailed models, like puppets. Pretty convincing, aren't they? This is a puppet version of the Hammer Studios Curse of Frankenstein. Curse of Frankenstein again. All right, where do you see the size that these puppets have been all this time? Are you ready? Yup, that's right. They were little. This is a copy of Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, a magazine that's this size. And this is those puppets that we just saw surrounding it. That's how small these puppets were. Look at them again, now that you know what you're looking at. Now you know how small they were. Imagine the workmanship that went into these. The Bride of Frankenstein scene. Work now, sleep later. Oh, actually, hang on one second. Yeah, I caught a typo in a very old magazine. Work commands the monster to Clive Colin. Make woman like me. Well, the dialogue is correct from Bride of Frankenstein. But the guy who played Dr. Frankenstein was Colin Clive. Colin was his first name. Clive was his last name. Not Clive Colin. So, take that, 1969 staff of Famous Monsters of Filmland. You have to reprint the whole thing now. With your typo corrected. Mystery photo. All right, Lon Chaney Sr. They're running what was then a 40-year-old article of an interview with Lon Chaney Sr. So this is an article from the late 20s. If you're not up on your Lon Chaney Sr., I have some of his biggest movies that you can watch on my YouTube channel under the Silent Horror Films podcast. This one, of course, Phantom of the Opera. Sadly not London After Midnight, because it's a lost film. The Monster, that is on my channel. And The Hunchback of Notre Dame, of course, one of his most famous roles. Oh, look, a creature cross-weird puzzle. Wow. Wait a minute. There we go. Behind the Ape Ball. I don't know why gorillas and apes, for some reason, were somehow categorized as monsters in the first half of the 20th century. I don't know what the deal is with that. Wow. Yikes. All right. That's from the Fighting Devil Dogs movie serial. Kong returns. That's pretty good. There's the finished product. Time for the wild ads. What monster magazine would be complete without wild ads? I'm still partial to the Guillotine for only 98 cents. pretty good. Of course, 1969, the Adam West Batman had just finished its run. So it was still big, you know, you get the Batmobile, and there was a spin-off series for the Green Hornet. So you can get his car too. You ever notice, the one thing I remember best about the short-lived Green Hornet TV series was that the Black Beauty was hanging upside down in their garage from a secret panel, and they would throw the switch and the whole panel would turn over and the car would be, you know, brought upright. Why were you hanging the car upside down? Why not just have it like an elevator that just lifts it up? Time to get your back issues. And your back issues are creepy. While you're at it, you may as well build up your whole library. You're going to need them. Oh, I remember this creation. This is actually not an alien. This is a future man from an episode of The Outer Limits. Yep. Supposedly, this is what human beings will look like 1,000,000 years in the future. At least according to The Outer Limits. Notice, suspiciously, a giant head like the giant head of the Invasion of the Saucermen aliens. Maybe Paul Blaisdell was trying to tell us something. The Forgotten Prisoner of Castlemaire. Pretty spooky. If you enjoy classic monsters and vintage horror, check out my book series, the Mourner's Woods books. I'm self-published on Amazon with a series of novels set in a haunted forest. My books again are the Mourner's Woods books. My name is Paul Edwards. Thanks for spending some time looking through Famous Monsters of Filmland, issue number 54 with me. I'll see you in Mourner's Woods.